Hey, I want to buy a new house from GM Real Estate in Johannesburg Spruit View Shopping Center Shop No 9. I saw their website www.gm1.yolasite.com.
Cool. How good is their services? Do you think they can sell your house before you buy the new one?
Yes, they will sell my house and get me the new one I chose from their website, and they have 3 bedrooms in Vosloorus, Soweto, Phnom, and 3 bedrooms to in Leondale, Spruit View.
WHO, have you contacted a GM Real Estate?
Mr. Labogo on 0714342948. He is Sweet and Cool sales consultant, qualified to sell and buy houses on the market.
Do they have free vacant stand?
Yes, they have vacant stand from as little as $260,000, and at times they have rentals. Go check out their website www.gm1.yolasite.com.